like I need a Porsche and my brother need a range. We out here chasing dreams, cause being broke not an option. Here you taking notes and watching. I'm making more deposits on resorts and islands, smoking on the finest, flyer than a pilot. Shit, I'm getting frequent fly mileage, chilling with your bitch and getting polished. What the fuck?
Some niggas got hope, other niggas got dreams. Some niggas work jobs, other niggas work schemes. Yeah, we all gotta hustle, most my niggas serve fiends. Some scales, batteries, other niggas are just beams. See me, I stand alone, I don't run with a team. Some say assalamu alaikum, but don't know what it means. Be more gamers, heroin, DC sell both. V8 is straight powder, New York niggas sell soap. Yeah, we all get burned, but some niggas don't learn. So it's a box or a urn, a young nigga get a turn. Everybody know how to follow, some know how to lead. Some niggas just flash their hammers, some know when to squeeze. Some niggas go legit and some don't know when to leave. But believe when I retire, I'm hit my connect with some skis. I did shit, soul shit, y'all niggas wouldn't believe. Looking out the jet window on a trip to Belize. I got G's from the G's, like look at them G's. I got a bitch that bust a brick while she putting in weave. No bare necessities, we got no dough that we need. Losing money by the minute, rats eating the weed. From point A to point B, niggas getting that cheese. I'm getting paid while I'm clocking some Z's, nigga.
18.
Hip Hop Cola.
CGR.
God. Broham. CGR. Yo. I'm in the game like a disto. I'm bustin' around with a flip mode. Like the grind when my shit roll. Need the gas for my fix though. Play pussy. Coming to get you. I'm the pistol, you the bullet. It get ratchet, I'ma pull it. Hoodie on, for Trayvon. Your bitch want me, yeah, I'm Adolf, no Hitler. You niggas blind, you don't see the picture. I keep the scale, I'm really off the Richter. But still on the motherfucking adventure. I say you owe me, you niggas get the mention. I'm plugged in like some motherfucking headphones. You be talking, boy, you dead wrong. My man's book, we bout to head home. On a mission, fool, I need my bread though. We taking risks, what the fuck you scared for? You on the grind, but you still broke. And while y'all sleep, the bro still woke. And when a nigga grind, I mean it's still hope. And I laugh at y'all cause y'all a whole joke. Broham. You laugh at him, bro. They a whole joke.
Duke
They ain't
wins.
fucking with us, man. You know who it is.
Fatality.
Bitch, I'm looking for a come up. I'ma grind till the sun up. Since a young buck, I've been had my funds up. Wish you run up, get you done up. I ain't gotta lift a gun up, but you'll get struck. You stupid as fuck, too busy trying to be us. Whole time, I ain't even shake all the rust. Unable to be touched, getting paper is a must. I see you waiting on the bus, but you hating on us. CGR, you know the campaign. Use your damn brain.
A lot of you question whether or not I'm here for truth. Question if I was a real flat earther or not. Well, the reality of it is there are no flat earthers. There are only globe deniers. Every flat earth evidence really is just a globe phenomenon. Explained by the globe. Don't you see that? See, I'm still here for truth. And now there are certain people in my way. You can deny evidence, but you can't deny truth. Flat Earth, you ask a lot of questions. I think it's time you answer some now. What is up, party people? All right, today's gonna be a fun one. Okay, so like the title says, what is martial law? We had kind of gone into this earlier in the conversation about the other day, a few days ago, about things that are going on with martial law and the restrictions that basically the United States are under due to martial law. And Barney had actually spoken up in that time and had said that that's not a real martial law. He was right in a sense, and he's wrong. I've done a little bit more researching on it, and martial law comes under a lot of different parameters of why you would go under martial law. One of the main things that I did notice where it's basically a situation where the government doesn't feel that the state or the public is able to handle a situation. Therefore, they come in and take over National Guard and the police forces and whatnot. Once it gets to that extent, there's usually a huge problem when it comes to military being policing wise and everything. But the main reason I wanted to do this stream is because Barney had said that he had actually lived through what we all think of martial law. The military actually takes over, and I wanted to pick his brain about it. So we're gonna do that over at Discord. I'm gonna go over and head over there now, so he's not over there waiting. The panel's free to join. You guys can join in. Just understand that right now I really want to pick Barney's brain about this and hear what he has to say. Whether you disagree with anything, that's not this type of part of the stream. Once we kind of get through the martial law and his experience in it and questions and stuff like that, then we'll open it up and it'll be open topic if you guys want to do something else or continue to talk about it. If you guys want to join the panel, look in the description down below, and you guys will see the link to the bunker. You guys can go ahead and head there. One other thing. So, yes, it's an open panel. Again, I just want to, just as a favor to me, while we're having the conversation of martial law, don't come in and do the flat earth thing. Flat Earth thing isn't really what's happening at the moment. It's literally wanting to kind of get a better understanding of what other people have gone through in their situations with martial law, because realistically, this is actually the first situation where we could actually see a martial law in a policing sense, because of the situation going on right now. So let me go ahead and head over there real quick. What's up, Barney? How you doing, sir?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear. How you doing?
I'm a bit cold and a bit annoyed, but otherwise okay.
It's not my fault. I didn't do it.
You didn't do it. We decided to go to my wife's parents while this blows over, since no point staying in big city, and we packed everything for about 3 months of staying there. Ooh. And put the baby to sleep and got ready to start when she wakes up, and she woke up with a fever.
That's not
Yeah. So we're not going anywhere, and now all our stuff is in the car, and we have to unpack everything.
Fun. Yeah, but you had said you had kind of gone through this before, but you did preface that you were much younger, right?
Yeah, I was a kid during the war.
Yeah, okay.
The war started when I was 10 and lasted till I was 15.
Wow.
And then with the war next door in Bosnia, lasting for a couple of years more.
Okay, so that actually hits home even a little better more, because me and you we're the same age, and yep. At 10 years old, I can tell you guys right now, I was getting in trouble. I was staying out past the nighttime. My parents didn't like that. I was getting in trouble at school, but overall, I was playing with my friends, playing video games, and being a kid. Definitely not dealing with a war.
Yeah. And when I was 10 years old, for a couple of months, I was basically living in a basement. We would get up to cook and stuff like that, but every time the sirens wailed, you would get into a basement, which was an impromptu bunker. But then you can't keep your kids inside for that long, and we started going out to play and basically just listen for the mortar whistles. And when you hear the whistle, you just run up to the nearest house, ring the bell, and start yelling, "Hey, can I use your shelter?"
Wow. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. So before this all the mortar dodging, was it like essentially normal? Like, I mean, police and go to school, the whole nine, like that.
Well, hello, dog. Um, yeah, it was life as usual, like everyday normal life. Uh, yes, it was under a completely different regime of governance and everything, but like for people on the street, it's just life, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You go to school, you live your life, and you watch the news. And I didn't watch the news; I watched the cartoons before the news. but But yeah, and then shit started happening with um, people declaring themselves independent of other people. Um, Basically, Serbs that were living in. So, just let me paint you a picture.
Mhm.
You have two neighboring states, right? Let's say New York and New Jersey. And New York is very politically dominant and more influential and stuff like that. But people migrate from one area to the other, right? There are New York people living in New Jersey who have moved there, and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
People who have moved from New York, right? And people tend to retain their identity and stick together, and so there will be an enclave of New Yorkers in New Jersey, and those New York natives in New Jersey decide to say, you know what? It would be really cool. We don't like being under New Jersey governance. It would be really cool if we were New York. We're gonna declare ourselves New York.
Okay, I'm starting to see the issue, or where the problem
Right?
starts, at least. Yeah.
And like at every point, the process is so gradual that every point everything makes sense. Right? You understand why they're complaining, and you understand what they're doing, and like you don't like the tactics that they're using to do it, but and they're protesting, and like I am pro protesting. If you dislike something, you should get out in the streets and scream about it. But then they started putting up barricades and declaring themselves independent and setting up their own government within Croatia. And then when, like, within those, well, sorry, within New Jersey. And then when they first start with the areas that were densely populated by New Yorkers, but then kind of said, hey, look, there's that national park over there. That would be nice to have. We declare that to be ours as well. Oh, look, those are really nice fields. You know what? We declare those to be ours as well.
Okay. Okay. So,
Right?
so now, so everyone kind of gets a good idea what we're talking about. What war?
It's the Yugoslav Civil War.
Yeah. Okay. And that has everything to do with like the whole Ukraine and all that stuff, or is
That has
the other
nothing to
side?
do with Ukraine.
Okay. Well, I know.
So,
Well, I know in that region, like
just
it's a lot
a
of people.
little bit of background. Yugoslavia was communist, and it was a federation of 6 states. But it was very moderate communist. It was open to the West. It had limited private commerce. You could open up your own shop or your own like production facility and earn money from that and own that. But you also had very, very strong socialist, communist way of governing and way of distributing things. One thing that was really weird when Mom explained it later to me was you didn't buy houses. Nobody bought houses.
Because you didn't know if you were going to be there, right?
No. Houses were not a commodity to be bought and sold. If you had this many people, you would go to the city clerk and say, hey, I need a bigger house.
Wow.
And they would either give you a bit of land and sponsor you to build that house, or they would say, well, this house is currently unoccupied, have that one.
Wait, so you didn't pay rent or anything? It's just everyone had a
No,
house.
no. That's the main idea of communism was from everyone according to their abilities, meaning everybody gives in as much as they can, and to everyone according to their needs. So if you're a single guy, you
won't
don't
get
need you don't need a 3-story house, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
A 6-bedroom house. But if you have 4 children and your mom is living with you, then yeah, sure, you will get a huge house
And so you would only have to pay to what you make, or you're in that social status.
there is no social status. There literally is no social status.
So wait, so it's like free houses?
Yes.
Wow.
And it's your house. You can modify it. You can build up on it. You can improve it. When you need a house, you're given a house.
But then how does that? How is that? I don't understand how that's worked out.
It does.
So what happens if the population grows larger than the housing?
They build more houses.
How are they making their money?
Who? The government?
Yeah, government.
They print the money. You had these really weird, really weird from a capitalist perspective. You had kind of work get-togethers where the government would say, "Hey, you know what? We need this tunnel built. Guys, just go there and make a hole in that mountain," and people would get together and do it.
Wow, that
you
seems...
you don't hire a company to do it, right?
You hire the men in the village.
You organize a committee, and that committee gathers people of trades and abilities and means, and go and do it.
Why does that form of government seem so great?
It sounds so great on paper, and for certain stuff and certain instances, it is great. The thing that's lacking in it is motivation, and obviously corruption. Right?
Okay, so where it's a positive for a village to do a certain amount of work, they are also having to do the shit work for the government that had nothing to do with them or no gain for them or at all, and they have to do it.
Yeah, because somebody has to organize the whole thing, and you will have a committee, you will have the Communist Party, you will have a council that will organize things. But if the top guy on that council is a bit of a self-serving dick, then he will organize that the entire county goes and mows his lawn, right?
Okay. And they have
to. Yeah, more or less.
Okay. And so, that was...
It's not on voluntary basis. It is not... Well, it is identified as voluntary insofar as... brotherhood and unity is invoked, and we are all part of this thing. Okay. So you need to participate and contribute to this thing that we all have.
And the way it's set up is the housing and any other situation, kind of like but we do this for you. You know what I mean? Is like
yeah.
Okay, so this is what you're describing right now is before any type of martial law, correct?
Yeah, this is just communism. This is Yugoslavian style communism.
Why does it? Okay, and so everyone's clear on it.
The downside.
Yeah. Go ahead.
One downside is, and people get annoyed by corruption, by some self-serving prick serving himself, right?
Yeah.
Helping himself to the public goods because they're available to everybody, such as gaming the system so that you for some reason amass an infinite amount of free apartments, right? I am a solo male, but I have 16 apartments. Why? Because I submitted the right paperwork in
Yeah. Okay, I see.
stuff like that. The other problem is motivation, where you are guaranteed to be paid. No matter what happens, if you show up at work and leave from work, you will get paid. If you need sick leave, you will get as much sick leave as you need. If you need holidays, you will get as much holidays as you need. Holidays will be organized for you. You will get lodging, you will get travel expenses, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And all you have to do is show up, right? Show up for work and do nothing.
Sounds great. But nothing gets
Sounds
done.
great. Nothing gets done. Nothing gets produced. And there were situations where I've talked about this before. I distinctly remember going to the store and bringing bribes for the store clerk so that she would give me a bag of sugar that she has stashed behind the counter that's not on the shelf, and walking into the store and having 4 items, like a huge store, like a neighborhood store in a large city.
Yeah.
And all of the shelves are completely empty, and there is, I don't know, 3 candy bars and 1 pack of sugar and a bag of flour and a t-shirt, right? In the entire store.
Yeah. Jeez.
And four store clerks tending to the store.
Yeah, because as long as they're there.
Because their job is to tend to the store.
So
and
then,
they're paid to tend to the store, right?
So in a communist regime, what would tend to happen is probably loss of infrastructure, right? Their money is real iffy all the time, right?
So the infrastructure works great. The infrastructure, roads, power lines, all of those things, they really do work great because everyone's involved, and you have unlimited resources to fix them, and that is your main way of distributing wealth, right? Okay. Hey guys, go fix that thing, and the government will give you money.
Oh, okay, so and especially if it benefits their area, then it's going to give you that. But that's the motivation, right? Where's the no motivation? Oh, when it's not. Okay, yeah. When it's not directly helping them or the people themselves.
Well, yeah. So it works great for the jobs where you take a tool and go hammer something out. Well, my town was a factory town. It was built around a huge factory which took up a third or maybe even a half of the town. Like in the center was a huge factory which produced tanks and locomotives, trains, I don't know, construction machines, stuff like that. So people were employed and they were working and they were producing. And the management was up there sitting, but it was a much slower rate of production of everything, and things get distributed. But that's slightly off topic. I was just trying to paint you a picture of and we got sidetracked. So that moment of an empty store is something that sometimes happens. Some bureaucrat in some position forgot to organize the distribution of produce for that month because he wasn't paid to organize produce. He was paid to go into his office and sit there, right, and make phone calls.
Okay. So, yeah, okay, see. So that's when that's a way of how the problems start.
Yeah. And there was a whole huge can of worms of internal politics of the region and how Yugoslavia can, right, just, I don't know, less than 100 years before that, let's say 60 years before that, there were people with still lived experience of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, right, World War I, and the Ottoman Empire and stuff like that.
Okay, I see. Now, okay, so at what point, or I don't think I even did this yet. Let me go ahead and read the definition of what martial law is, because
yeah, let's get back to the topic.
Yeah. All right, so martial law is the imposition of direct military control over normal civilian functions by a government, especially in response to a temporary emergency such as invasion or major disaster or an occupied territory. Because and that's, it's very important to preface, because this kind of made, the reason I looked it up, because it made it clear there are multiple versions of martial law. It's not just the military's taken over and no one else, and they have all the control.
Well, a declared martial law is exactly that. The military has taken over, and it is by military law. Civil law gets suspended, and civil rights get suspended. Now, there are different situations under which that functions differently.
Yes.
Meaning that under military law, you can have perfectly normal civilian life if you're not in conflict, if you're not in a conflict zone.
Yeah. One instance was that, I think it was 1934 was what I was reading, was in San Francisco when they had a big earthquake. Basically, they basically took over for the National Guard. And in that situation, it was martial law, meaning they didn't have to ask permission or anything from the state to decide what would happen.
Yeah. So it is still being governed by the country, right? The military is under the direct command of the executive.
Mm-hmm.
And the executive is still bound by the laws of the Congress.
Yes.
However, the execution of the law is drastically different, because once martial law is declared, military becomes the Senate, effective executive, police,
Senate,
court
Congress,
system.
Everything.
They still don't become the Congress, but
they don't need permission from the Congress, is a better way of saying it.
Sometimes. So in the US, they still need permission from the Congress until that permission is given. Once that permission is given, they no longer need anything from the Congress, right? The Congress has to not only declare martial law, but it also has to give separately the governing power to the military.
Okay, I see.
But once they do that, it's full on military law.
Yeah, but and you were saying different situations. A police force can still work during martial law, right?
It can. It can, but it acts as kind of a branch of the military. Well, it depends on the situation. Usually military law is reserved for when the civil services have failed, when civil services become impossible for some reason. So if it's a natural disaster, meaning there is no actual police, there is no organization, there is no city government to run the police, to tell the police what to do, right? Mm-hmm. And in that case, the military is the only institution that actually has the ability, the training, and the infrastructure to function under such a strain, where you can just drop them anywhere and they will still have their functioning hierarchy.
Well, I didn't realize I'm sorry.
Your mayor, your governor are just civilian people who were elected because they came up from amongst the people and said, "Hey guys, vote for me!" Right?
Yeah, representative. He's basically he's a representative. So like when the higher ups have the meetings, we're involved. we have someone there to hear out what's going on.
Yeah.
What's it called? So like one of the main things that again that made me want to have this conversation is that I had stated that we had gone under martial law here in the United States a few years back, and it was based under the idea that terrorists were here and they needed a way to basically detain anyone they want without question and all that good stuff. There's a bunch of legal details that I don't really know enough about to act like I know everything. But when it's talked about, there's two situations that I remember. Obama did it and Bush did it. The article or the source that I'm reading from right now, the question was asked, when was the last time martial law was declared in the United States? And it says, at 3 a.m. on May 20th, 2014, following 7 months of civilian and political unrest, Army Commander-in-Chief General Peyron Chan, I don't even know how to pronounce that name, declared martial law nationwide. And that was in lieu of us going, basically needing to be able to detain and question anyone in the United States they needed to, and also listen in on conversations, all that fun stuff that we have going on. Now, it's so transparent. I don't think the majority of people even notice that this situation has happened, and that was the main thing that really went, oh shit, we need to talk, because your version of martial law, Barney, is completely different.
Yeah. So there is a difference. So we're talking about the difference of martial law being declared and martial law being implemented.
Yes. Exactly.
Right. So one of the situations where you will often have martial law implemented and enforced without even the inclusion of the government, because that can happen as well, is military coups, which is basically the military looking at the government and saying, "You guys fucked up. You know what? You're getting removed."
Yeah, and I didn't know this. The National Guard in the United States is okay. So they work for the federal government basically, but they work for the states at their end. Like, I guess, how does it work? So every state has a National Guard. The National Guard protects that state. Is how it works. So I don't know how it works in the sense of
it's kind of like having a state militia, except they are still underneath the federal government, but it's kind of more like a state militia.
Exactly.
Most of the time they are used for like all the natural disasters and things like that, and amongst other things, but that's mostly what it's for.
Yeah. So, Marnie, why don't you? I guess I would definitely want to know: did they declare or implement martial law where you're from, or did something happen first?
So, okay, I'll try to keep the history lesson short, but basically what happened was, when those Serbs declared Krajina, about a year later, Croatia declared its independence of Yugoslavia entirely, and somewhere in the intervening period, the Yugoslavian government, the federal government, disarmed all of the national guards, so that no country would have their own guard, and kind of supported that Serbian uprising in Croatia. And Croatians started smuggling in weapons from Hungary to arm their national guard illegally.
And that's how like militias are formed, basically. That's exactly
Yeah.
it. Okay.
And there was a referendum. Slovenia declared its independence. Croatia declared its independence, and the federal government sent in the army to deny that independence.
Okay, so in another sense, martial law isn't always a good thing, or definitely not always a good thing. I mean, obviously, the situation of having to do that happen.
Depending on who's taking over power, of course.
Yeah, so same thing with military coups, right? They can be good or bad. Martial law can be good or bad. How it turns out and how it works out, but the distinction, the thing that we kind of started talking about, the what is the difference between implementation and just declaration? Declaration declaring it doesn't mean anything if the army is still under full control of the government, whatever government, some government.
Yeah.
Right. Because then they will be guided and told what to do. But the thing that's relevant from your experience, martial law is ceasing all civil law, all civil courts, all civil rights. You are now, if martial law is declared, you are now a servant of the army. As a civilian, meaning that if you're given a direct command, you have to obey it immediately. If you don't, you can get court-martialed, but you can get court-martialed only if the situation allows it. If you say no in a situation which is dire or right in the middle of a conflict, or in you can get shot on the spot. Why? Because that's high treason. That's immediately high treason. That's the implemented martial law. Now that is done with the effort of retaining civilization, with retaining the society, with retaining survival for everybody, including you who is getting shot in this instance, right?
So it is. So declaring martial law. So, for instance, in the United States, they declare martial law. So they at any time can decide to do that.
Yes.
It's not easy.
Now, the consequences for miscalculations or misuse during martial law are not resolved under martial law. They're resolved afterwards, and that's where you have the tribunals and international courts and
rules of engagement. That's the
national courts.
The whole rule,
right?
The whole reason for rules of engagement.
Yeah, the Geneva Convention, the war laws and stuff like that, they come into effect after the war. The military under martial law does not abide by that.
Okay.
They should. They should. Those laws are still in place, but usually in that situation, in what I've lived through, there is no society to speak of to implement. Like there is no way that you can raise your hand and say, "Hey, he's asking me to do something that I don't want to do. I'm a free citizen," right?
Yeah. It's very situational on the spot, and would you say that?
Right.
Well, I guess just continue on because I don't even know how to phrase the question. So like I was asking before, when something happens, so there was obviously buildup. Now, when they declared martial law, was it an instant application or you know what I mean, use of it?
To some degree, yes. We were kind of prepared for it, in the same way that we're prepared for COVID right now, right? Have you stocked up on toilet paper?
No.
Right. You kind of were told what necessities you need to get and approximately in which quantities. There was an organized effort to deliver them. There were instructionals being shared on how to make a home shelter in your basement, how to protect it. One of the things was that all basement windows had to be sandbagged, just for shrapnel and bullets not flying into your basement. And there was kind of a circulation of sandbags. People would be driving around with trucks and dropping a couple of them in front of every house, where you would just take them and put them in front of your windows. So there was some prep to it. But when the fighting began, we were told which radio stations would have would be the guiding radio station that would have all the instructions for the civilians. When you were obligated to listen to that radio station. It's no choice, right? You can't say, "No, I don't feel like it." Well, you can, but if you go astray, dire consequences, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
A curfew was announced. A blackout was announced, and we knew that you can get out of. Kind of same thing is there's equivalence in what's going on now. Like stores work from this time to this time, or you can move freely outside these times of the day, but you need to have a writ of purpose, right?
Yep.
You need to be able to give out a paper which is stamped and shows that you have a purpose for moving about right now, whoever you are. Right? So if you're working in infrastructure, in let's say water supply, as my father did, my stepfather, right? He got one of those papers because he would have to go to work, otherwise nobody would get water.
Okay. Well, so then obviously the reasons for martial law are in situations are obviously different too, and how they would play out. Okay, so when you guys went to martial law, and being under a communist regime, was there draft?
That's no longer that's the transition period, right?
Oh, okay.
Croatia had its first multi-party elections.
Okay,
We've had single-party elections before that, which is as silly as it sounds, right? You have one party and then you go and vote, right?
well,
had its first multi-party elections and elected a Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party declared its independence, and Croatia has at that point declared itself to be a democracy, right?
So your martial law was an 100% good for you. Everyone was for it.
Well, everyone is a very broad term. It was a very confusing time. Yes, everyone was for it.
Well, but you didn't.
And those people who weren't for it were the enemy.
Oh. Okay. so for all you know, 1 second your neighbor's your friend, next second your enemies.
Yes, and that happened a lot. And there are still quite a lot of houses in kind of the region where I lived in, and especially in the Bosnian region across the river, that So I was born in Slavonski Brod, which was kind of a fort town and a factory town. It had a huge fort from Austro-Hungarian Empire, those star-shaped ones, right? The
Star
last
forts.
stage of fortifications, right? Yeah, and a huge military production factory, and that fortress was the military campus for the Federal Army. Across the river is Bosnia, and that part of Bosnia was heavily populated by Serbs, and it is currently Serbian ethnic region of Bosnia, which is its own complication. But yeah, when you go there, Croat houses are all still burnt to the ground, never rebuilt, nobody returned there, even 20 years after the war.
Wow. So what? I couldn't imagine that. So like, well, see, you were so damn young though. So it was okay. I get why it was a good thing, but at the time, you guys had no damn clue whether it would be good or not. It was like you said, confusing.
No clue, and no choice, right?
Yeah. You know, yeah. No, it's not among the people out. You know, the public outcry would stop it. Yeah, no, you guys just got to sit back and wait.
You don't get a say in it. You don't get a choice in it, and so there's another part of it, which is propaganda, which is in war, at war. Well, so yes, I know that America is constantly at war with somebody somewhere in the world, but you don't have wars in your territory, right? Nobody's bombing your city, or you have no idea what war is, except that that's the place where our soldiers go and do their work.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And earn their money.
Exactly. Yeah.
When the war, when you're on the other side of that, those soldiers are going into somebody's country, into somebody's town, into somebody's neighborhood, and waging war there.
Yeah, it's not nowhere near as cut and dry.
Yeah, like just living in your street in which you have grown up and went to school and played with everybody, and then suddenly these 3 houses get crossed out because they're Serbians, and most of the people just moved out. Like, it was obvious, same as with Corona, it was obvious months in advance that some serious shit is going down, possibly even years.
Yeah.
My father had a computer company, which he had in a partnership with a Bosniak and a Serb. And he was Croat, right? And 3 years before the war, they sat down and just kind of said, we see where this is going, fuck all of this.
Yeah.
Dissolved the company, one went to Serbia, one moved, like all 3 of them moved from the town. My dad went to Australia, the Bosniak went somewhere, I don't know, and the Serb went to Serbia.
Yeah.
Right. 3 years before all of that happened, it was already obvious enough. Of what's going on.
So okay, so that you're talking of the preparation aspect of it now.
Yeah, the tension's growing. Like what's going on right now? The polarization. People retreating into their tribes and yelling louder and louder, and most getting radicalized and more fundamentalist, and right. And then when it hits, when the war starts, all media shuts down. You only have, well, in our case, you only had the national media, and all voices are speaking with one voice of the currently reigning radical tribe, which is running the war on the side that you're at.
So like you were saying, the propaganda, they could say anything.
Yeah, and when I say propaganda, I mean in every conceivable sense. my notebooks for school had Croatia Army logos, TV, music, all of the music produced in that period of time was kind of patriotic, nation building, right? Books, comic books. We had Super Hrvoje, which was a Croatian superhero, which was born out of the rock of the land. Everything you look at and touch is propaganda at that point.
Oh wow! So during war, you were still going to school and everything like that?
So the school went on for a little bit. They enabled shelters, like, so since it was a communist country during the Cold War and the nuclear threat was real, all of the civil buildings were built with proper nuclear bunkers.
Wow, that's a whole
Right.
other idea
So-
that I keep forgetting about. You grow up living as if there could be a war in any moment. We don't.
Yeah, so in the basement of my school, there was a nuclear bunker which had those huge steel safe doors. Right. And yeah, when the sirens, we went to school, and when the sirens would start wailing, the teacher would just get up, and we would get up, stand in line 2 by 2, and go into the shelter and wait till the raid ended.
So
when that became impossible, they organized TV schooling. So they shut down schools on the front lines and broadcast educational shows for those people. And the funny thing is, I told you that they're doing the same thing now, except all of the schools in Croatia are now closed. And they're broadcasting this program class by class, and a lot of the shows, a lot of the lessons, and are actually the ones that I was watching when I was a kid. My daughter is literally watching the same, because the national television still has those in the archives.
Yeah.
Right. And why produce new stuff when it's already been done?
Wow.
So a lot of it is production 93.
That's insane. So yeah, that's crazy, because I was just thinking about it. For one, I hope they do that with the schools out here. I do know there are a lot of different teachers that are technologically sound, so that they're trying to get that going. But I'm kind of irritated the government hasn't. Now, when you're into martial law, so there's obviously going to be curfews, there's going to be different restrictions and whatnot. How does it? See, I don't even know how to ask the question, because you were obviously dodging mortars and shit. So you were, I guess, at one point on the front lines, right?
So, yeah, the town that I lived in was heavily shelled, but even that becomes a route at a certain. One thing is they're targeting the factory, right?
Because
they're trying to stop the production. They're targeting the military complex.
Okay.
So when you hear the first mortar whistle.
Yeah.
When you hear that, you know that one's not going to hit you because you're not in the factory. And you have enough time to go to somebody's house and say, hey, can I use your shelter? And just get into somebody else's house, get into their basement, talk with them for a bit, wait for the third shell to hit, and then you don't even wait for the clear sound, right? There's a wailing siren that signalizes that an attack is either imminent or ongoing. That usually wails after the first mortar has hit. So you don't wait for that. You hear the whistle and you just dash towards the nearest door that you can see and has to use the shelter.
Okay, so in the senses, for like your situation, you were more worried about the misguided one or one that went short, or
yeah. The thing is, mortar cannon is fairly flimsy, and when it shoots out a mortar, it moves.
Okay, yeah.
So the first one will be spot on. The second one will be kind of near, and the third one will be iffy. And it's that third one that you're sheltering from. And after the third one, they will stop shelling because they're just wasting ammo at that point.
Okay, so
and start recalibrating and recalculating and all of that. So when you hear the first whistle, dash, go into the shelter, wait to hear all the 3 explosions, and you don't wait for the clear signal. You just say thanks and dash out.
That's just and that just becomes like an everyday thing, right?
And that becomes an everyday thing, yeah. Because like everything that you gain some experience. First day, the night of the assault on the garrison I was shit. No, well, actually, that night I wasn't shit scared. I didn't understand what was going on. So we were asleep. It was a nighttime raid. The Croatian forces went to take that garrison away from the federal army. And the sirens were wailing, and Mom came and picked us up from bed, and our shelter wasn't fully completed. We didn't take it seriously enough. Something happened, so somebody needed to go down there and just prepare the beds so that we can lie down and sleep. And while I was standing on the basement stairs, I decided that I don't want to stand on the basement stairs. Why did they bring me to the basement? What the fuck is going on? So I turned around and went back into my bed. And they didn't know where I was, and they all got panicked, and a mortar shell hit like the house across the street and blew in the windows and knocked me out of my bed and
holy
all
shit.
That. And yeah, so that was my first shell shock ever, and that was scary as hell. And for a while, like literally for months after that, we took it deadly seriously and lived in mortal fear of everything, like basically trying to live in the basement as much as possible.
Yeah. Damn.
But we didn't have a kitchen in the basement, so we would go upstairs to make lunch and stuff like that. But after a while, like that just keeps happening and happening. You have air raids, you have mortar raids, you have street fighting, and you learn to distinguish those things by the noises that are going on outside. And you kind of learn those little the mortar logic that I've just described.
Yeah.
Right? You're listening to it for months, day in and day out. And after a while, it just becomes routine.
And here's the weird part about it. So like I said, I've worked on Camp Pendleton for 14 years. I know I've said it a billion times. One of the things I got to experience on a daily basis is their mortar rounds. If you don't know, these are fucking insanely large, look like tank barrels basically, attached to these wheels basically, and they shoot mortar rounds. I literally was within a quarter mile of the exercises. I know what you're saying when you're talking about the 3, because that's exactly what they do. They usually set about 3 of them up, and they all shoot 3, and they all kind of just pow, 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 and they are loud as shit. After about 6, 7, 8 months of it, I stopped noticing when the helicopters, when they were shooting at the ranges, when they were shooting those artillery rounds. I got desensitized to it, so I wasn't so worried. at any point. But I can see how you're saying that the sounds, that it becomes an everyday thing, becomes the panic goes away, the startledness. I don't like if you shot a artillery round behind me, I wouldn't jump. Without the fear of getting knocked out of bed, though.
Yeah, it doesn't stay when things go back to normal. When life resumes after the war, after I got accustomed to it, it really wasn't bothering me. Well, we were refugees for a while, and like I've lived 6 different lives in that brief period, but I thought that nothing could just touch me. Like what I didn't understand what people meant by trauma, and then in high school, like pretty much well after the war, there was I don't know what the English term is, something like grief day. There was a large mourning. Yeah, there was a large. A lot of people died, and there was a mourning, and they blew the town sirens for that. And I was in school when they blew the town sirens for that, and I swear that the entire class kind of ducked under their seats.
Oh yeah, the
just
impulse.
At the impulse of, and I was shaking like a leaf. Like that was like. I've lived through a war. The scariest part of the war was that first siren I heard years after the war.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about that. Because again, we are the same age, and our upbringing, our from 10 to 15, our lives were insanely different. When you walk around now. Because I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine having been in because the only basically the only thing that I can go off of is people that I know that were deployed and were in the military in Iraq and stuff like that, and you see what happens to them, and they're trained to do that shit. But Barney, 10-year-old Barney isn't trained to fucking deal with that shit. Is that something that affects you now, or were you too young? Or do you think you're too young?
I'm certain it does. It's a formative experience, right? It is something that made me me, and but yeah, it's just part of life.
That's the thing, though. It shouldn't be. That's the insane part. But you don't get to choose. You don't. There are things which are beyond your control, and that's why I kind of find it endearing and when I hear Americans talk about their rights and right, the civilians, the people who have lived out their lives in the suburbs and are screaming at somebody, I have you entitled piece of shit. Ignorance. And the thing is,
you have no idea how the people that kind of annoy me most on the inside are the sovereign citizens, right? You have no idea how flimsy, how paper thin the veneer of civility is, and the civilization and the society that you live in, and how much it enables you, and how easily it can just poof vanish from today to tomorrow. And in that situation, when it vanishes, how much you're going to rely on that same society, on your neighbors helping you, on you helping them, on that ability of people to get together and do the shit that needs to get done.
Yeah, that's the scary part about it, because like you said, the entitled feeling, I have it, especially because a situation where I'm lucky enough to know someone like yourself or someone, I know a lot of people in different countries, and it is a really sobering situation when you realize how good I have it. Barney, I'm one of those people. I'm pretty sure that's why we're having this conversation, because remember I was like, we are in martial law, and you're like, bitch, there ain't no fucking martial law. Let me tell you what. Yeah. And that. Then my next question would be this: what is better? The fact, because for instance, like you said, you hear Americans like myself talking about martial law, this, our rights, our freedom, this and this and this, and it does sound insanely entitled, but is that better off, or knowing these situations can happen and having dealt with them before?
Well, I don't know. I honestly don't. I am glad that I've lived through the experience. I'm glad that it's what forms me and informs me. I'm glad that it constitutes my backbone. Mm-hmm. That knowledge of what society is and what people are, and how many people are monsters and how many people are fucking angels and will chew off their arm for you. Right? Mm. And knowing how much we rely on people, I'm glad that I have that knowledge and that experience.
Yeah.
And I will spend the rest of my life trying to make sure that nobody else, especially my children, have that experience.
Yeah. It's just kind of a weird one. When you walk around, do you always wait to hear the sirens? Because that's how I would, like, seriously, I would always feel that way.
No, you don't.
And this is going to sound weird. Like, for instance, 9/11 happened, and it sounds weird, but a lot of the reason I don't watch the news is I don't want to hear about that shit right off the bat. That shit it's different, and it does make you realize how shitty and crippling, how anything could happen. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It didn't affect. It wasn't a declaration of war on the United States, but it's a big deal. It showed that terrorists can touch us. Whether you think it was wherever idea you think 9/11 was for anyone, that's not even the discussion. I'm just giving you the idea of where our situation is. Because one of the things that did worry me, and I still think this, I don't think our military would essentially do us wrong in a martial law situation, but I don't trust private. But that's just me. But I don't think America is set up for anything like that. I don't know what would happen.
So, as a civilian, if you're a civilian, that's kind of, if you're an adult, that's the first decision that you have to make. Are these guys my guys or not? Yeah. Am I a civilian or am I an army supporter, right?
Yeah.
If I'm a civilian, if I'm the true, real civilian, then I will just obey orders from whichever army is currently occupying my territory, because otherwise I will instantly be shot. Or I will be, if I'm lucky, I will be camped, made to work, or court-martialed and imprisoned, right? But if it's the frontline situation, if I get in somebody's way who is on his way to kill or be killed, the rule is you are a traitor at that instance that you disobeyed. So that's sovereign citizen shit in martial law. It just doesn't fly. Like you can say whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. It's literally, I don't have time for this. I'm on my way to go kill some people or get killed by them. Don't stand in my way.
Yeah. Damn.
Right? I don't have the time to negotiate philosophical nuances of what it means to be sovereign with you.
And the other issue with that is that, like you were saying, that the propaganda in that situation, we would only hear about whatever, like you said, faction that is in the lead, I guess, or has control, would want us to hear.
Yes, and I literally mean on all channels. You don't have input into other people's news. You don't have. Well, it might be different now with the internet, but I'm guessing that under that type of martial law, under war zone type of martial law, there is no internet, right? Well, what are we talking about?
That's yeah.
You have broadcast. You'll be lucky if you have TV. You will maybe have radio. But yeah, it's pen and paper communication.
Yeah, and I guess so. In the United States, I guess under the martial law we're under now, and because of the situation we're in, the only time I could imagine now our military taking over for our civilian entities would basically be if people were stupid and kept going about their everyday business like as if this wasn't happening, and the curve, they call it, got worse.
Yes. And that's kind of what's happening in Croatia right now. We have declared a state of emergency, and people are told to stay in their houses. Like, it's okay, you can go to the store. Stores have limits of how many people can be in the store at once, and everything non-essential has been closed or supplanted by non-person-to-person interactions. And what a lot of Croatians did is they're literally having Corona parties. Today, I joined Jose's for a bit. I went out to clean out the backyard. Took a scythe and cleared out some brambles so that my kids can play on the meadow in front of the house, because they can't use the playgrounds or anything, because you can't touch anything that other people have touched. One neighbor next to me was having a slaughter and had 20 people over, getting drunk and quartering a pig. And the neighbor on the other side of my house was having a barbecue party with some friends.
Nice. Well, that's so. What you were saying earlier with Jose's, I got an issue. Not only did I not get a notification, but when I go to Jose's page, when I went to his channel, I don't even see the live stream for today.
Yeah, you can only see it through notification if you're subscribed and have the bell, or see the uplink.
I am.
None of the streams are current. I'm pretty sure that this stream will also not be listed anywhere. It shows up. It shows up only after the full processing has been done, from what I've seen. Right. It's not in the subscriptions feeds. It's not on the channel page. It's not anywhere. It'll be in the subscription feed once the stream ends and all the converting and processing is done and syncing with live chat, and then it will show up.
There's no tech help right now.
There is no technical support.
Yeah, YouTube's going to be slow as shit for a minute. Because that means, like, when shit gets overrun, they can't switch net or whatever you call it. And, it's going to be fun. Yeah, and that's I think that's... I'm sorry. I mean, I'm in a good spot. Jose's in a great spot. I mean, we're going to... All you're going to be seeing for the next few weeks is Corona parties here. What else we got to do?
Yeah, this is the kind of Corona party that's worth having. And there's nothing else to do. I'm actually quite amazed at how many prominent scientists and artists and have either started up or revived their YouTube channels and are now just at home making clips and videos because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah. perfect time. Because and also one of the things that I kind of went through the YouTube stuff. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to be talking a lot about Corona. They have made it a situation like this. You can talk about it. You can even broadcast the numbers and all that stuff. What it is they do not want anyone calling to actions. They don't want anyone implementing, like saying like they have announced this and they hadn't. And those are the things that are going to get pulled. The worst part, the only problem is when people are putting stuff in the titles about Corona. They're putting negative input in there or something that the algorithms will hit. And if your shit gets taken down, it's not going to come back up for like a month because there's no one to look at the dispute. And the disputes are actually looked at by people. And so that was the whole big situation.
No people are looking at disputes right now.
Yeah. So that's the situation when they were talking about not to, it's in your best interest not to talk about COVID. It's literally, if you put it in your title and you misquote, if you do something that the algorithms key on, they're going to take it down and it will not be back up. If your channel gets shut down right now, you're fucked for a month. If you didn't do nothing wrong.
And that's perfectly appropriate. I know flat earthers are not gonna like it. I know that sovereign citizens are not gonna like it, and all of those factions that are. But yes, this is why we have governments. And why we have those institutions, and why we have shut everything fucking down. And
because
yell the thing that people need to hear right now. If you want to talk about Corona, just point people to the CDC video. If you think that you can voice it better to your audience, you can try, but don't get emotionally tied to that video.
What's up, party people?
What's up, Skyfly? How you doing, sir?
Good evening from the UK.
Good evening.
Yes, I've been listening intently. I've not actually followed exactly what you've been saying, so I haven't got a clue. But
just BSing.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised. The amount of numbers that are watching is very low, based on the fact that everyone's stuck at home and they can't go out to the pub and that because it's all closed. So I thought you'd have more watchers. You
gotta also remember there's a lot of other people streaming right now. I think Dr. Bob and Team Skeptic are collaborating right now. There's a few other streams. I'm surprised I have this many people. To tell you the truth, the reason I went live is because me and Barney actually, we messaged and got into contact with each other at the right time. But I wasn't going to go live otherwise because everyone else was going live. I wanted to have that talk with Barney because we live in such freaking drastic lives and we're the same age. And I don't think I could imagine growing up in that situation. But like you said earlier, Barney, if you're born in it and you're there, or you've gone through it, you don't have a choice. It's wherever you're born. It's wherever you grow up. It's wherever wherever.
I was watching Dale's show earlier.
I thought you didn't watch Dale.
Sorry, I don't, but I watched him tonight because it came up in my recommendations. So I watched it anyway, just out of sheer curiosity. So I was eating my tea at the time. It was like 10 o'clock, so it was food time. So I thought, I'll watch that. And he had some stupid guests on there, but the last lady on there, she was quite intelligent. She's from Canada because she's lived in prison for the last 20 years. And she suffered from cancer, and I thought it was really good. But he was talking about the coronavirus, and lots of people were saying, oh, it's just a hoax, it's all made up. And I'm thinking, are these people really real? Do they not understand what's globally happening?
Yeah,
because they think they live on a plane.
And I've talked to a few people so far that have made these stupid fucking remarks. And here's the thing. And I've said this a few times. If it's fake, okay. If it's real, I'll be prepared. I'm not. I almost fucked up. Because like I said in the beginning of all this shit, I went. I think they're hyping it up too much. And realization is they were trying to prepare us.
If Chan McHugh's listening, I think she could steal the last part of Dow's show from live tonight, or today rather, and take the piss out of him being depressed and stuff.
What? Dale depressed? How can you tell?
Yeah, when he was younger, he was very depressed. Apparently, he expressed all his feelings tonight to this woman that came on who had cancer and that and recovered from it, and he was expressing his own personal experience.
Then why would Channel Q want to use that? That sounds like a human Dale.
Yeah, to take the piss out of him. It's quite funny, isn't it?
No, it sounds like Dale's a cocksucker all the time, but you got him in a human situation. That sounds like a good
Well,
Dale.
that's true. Yeah. He said the most stupid thing. He drew a picture of the planet Earth rotating around the sun, and he drew what's it called, Venus, because he said he can see it at the moment in the night sky just after sunset. But he drew it in completely the wrong place and said, "How can you physically see this when it's dark and you're facing away from the sun?" But that's not the fact. The fact is that the planet is like a long way from the sun. It's not like you see it in these pictures, but right next to it. That's just drawn for convenience. The scale is important, and the fact is, it's I'm not sure the exact distance, but I used to know it. It's millions and millions and millions of miles away. So he's looking at this picture and thinking, how could you physically see that planet Venus just after sunset from the UK when it's dark? And the simple fact is, because he's got the wrong picture, he's got an out of scale picture. Anyway, sorry to go off on a tangent there.
Yeah, but the sun's only like
What's up, Trish?
1,000 miles away, isn't it? How you doing, Sean, mate?
Pretty good. I caught your live stream earlier. That was entertaining.
Is it 1,000? Is it 90,000? I don't know.
It varies with them. It goes. I've heard 300 feet, which is by far the ridiculous. And then I've heard 3,000 miles. I've heard 2,000 miles.
100,000 miles. Yeah, 100,000 kilometers.
It's basically as far as they need to go. Which it doesn't really make much sense, but yeah. But
sorry, Sean, I've disrupted your channel. I've changed the subject. Let's go back to the martial law.
Well, we were kind of in the dwindling of it. It's all good, man. No worries. I mean, yeah, we can keep talking about it.
I didn't know you were talking about martial law. I only just joined. I was streaming. I was getting very drunk and just playing shit, and I was streaming just bullshit, just like,
Fun.
But I was waiting for you to come up, but luckily I only missed an hour. But I didn't know you were talking about martial law. What is martial law? It's basically the people who are in charge. Now that could be the government, but it could be your local lord and not savior, but your local lord or Arrow or Count, or you know what I mean. And he just says like we want people off the streets. We don't want you gathering in groups because we hear you talking about me and talking shit about me. And if we see you gathering and thinking about fucking, deposing me, we're going to kill you.
I guess that could be bits and pieces of it. But I know it doesn't say it. Barney is that area still in martial law, or is it since ceased?
Well, the martial law ceased during the war.
Okay, so
it wasn't declared everywhere, right? It was declared on the front lines, where actual combat is. Cities that were away from the front line weren't under martial law. They were operating
so
more or less normally.
So the idea that when a government declares martial law, doesn't only mean the whole country. It could be in a situation. I mean, it gives them permission to do it in the whole country, but essentially they don't take over the whole country, only where they need to.
Yeah, I mean, martial law could just mean a town. Martial law is declared in a town or a city, you know what I mean? But the rest of the country is not.
Hey, Chunji, I could have come in earlier, but I didn't have a notification. Sorry about that.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what.
And it doesn't show. It doesn't show my subscriptions. Show
nothing does. It fucking sucks ass. I was pissed because I remember I was told you yesterday. I was like, "Hey, I'll be there in the morning," and I got up. I I woke up like at 8:45 my time, about an hour into your stream, and I looked and it wasn't there. I didn't see a live stream from Jose. I was like, what? Okay, guess he didn't go. That's why I asked if you were going live later on, because I didn't know you didn't go live, or you already went live.
Yep. Weird stuff.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that. I thought when things went or a government declared martial law, I thought it was the whole country that they basically had to then police. I didn't realize it was that way. I guess that would put a damper in the government taking over. I don't think the government could take over. I don't think there's enough.
They probably don't have enough soldiers to take over a whole country the size of America, but they could probably put like a city. They could probably put a city like New York or San Francisco under martial law, but they couldn't do the whole country, mate. You know.
Yeah, GPS said in 1961, Alabama declared martial law. Yep.
You have cases of martial law being instituted nationwide. Was it?
Yeah,
Romania or Ukraine, either Romania or Ukraine, when they were getting rid of their dictator, that was a military coup. That was a full-on martial law nationwide.
Yeah, but you're talking about an area the size of half a state in America, you know.
Well, no, it still doesn't matter because
Ukraine,
like I said,
Romania. Do you know how large those countries are?
Do you know how big Texas or Florida or California? Or
yeah, and do you know how little what is it? New Jersey is. We have bigger and smaller countries in Europe as well.
Well,
France is fucking huge.
They did. They, like I said earlier, in 2014, they declared nationwide martial law here in the United States. But like you said, Barney, there are definite levels and steps involving in this that we got nowhere near yours. But yeah, I could see a nationwide martial law being implemented here, but still not having to police the whole damn thing.
Yeah. So you have like even formally you have levels, right? When you have a state of emergency. State of emergency will restrict certain rights, abilities, and capabilities, right? But it will be by the civil society with the help of the military if needed, such as national. The martial law usually comes in those situations where civil society is untenable, where you cannot have police or medical services or governance in broader sense, right?
Yeah.
Where you do not have a functioning government and you need some semblance of hierarchy and maintaining control, and then the army is the only one.
Barney, whenever you instigate like martial law, they're not doing it on every high road and every bylane. You know, they're doing it normally in cities and towns. You know what I mean? They're doing it in places where they know they can put enough soldiers there to put soldiers on every gate and every road into the city and stuff like that. They're not doing it on every road in the whole country. You know?
Well, normally doesn't apply to martial law. If you have martial law, you're no longer at normally. It depends on the situation, right? Every location that can function on its own, like villages by themselves will never have declared martial law because there is no need, because it's 30 people taking care of themselves and are fully self-sustainable. They don't even need local government, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But if you've got like a town that's got like, say, 1,500 people in it, they've got like 3 sheriffs, or three deputies and a sheriff. One guy would go there from the government and say, like, I'm telling you what to do now, this is the rules. And if they don't obey, if they shoot that guy, then, yeah, The government will send like they will send it like an army in there to fucking clean it up. When he goes there and he says, "I'm speaking for the government," these people do what you say, and they put into act in that town the laws that the martial law dictate.
But in those situations, places like that are insignificant. They're literally like those people can live and die by their own rules, and we're not going to touch them unless they're in our way, right?
Yeah, because you said something earlier, Barney.
They still get declared martial law, but it doesn't affect you. However, if the army is passing through that village is under martial law.
Well, yeah, you were saying, Barney, earlier that like where you live, when that shit went down, it was like you said, your dad is actually a perfect example. His business partners being of different, different. What do you say? Gosh, on tip of my tongue.
Yeah, ethnicity.
If that means your police force probably had the same same mix. So when a military comes in, they don't want to go, who do we trust in your division? They go, we got this.
Yes, exactly.
That's how because that story you said with your dad's business, it was exactly why when they do martial law in a city or village, why they'll tell the police force, hey, kick rocks, we got it. we'll worry about that. In
police force under military rule are just civilians. However, they're well trained and well equipped civilians.
Exactly.
So they will be issued tasks.
If
they will fall under military command.
Have you ever seen that movie? It's something Mississippi, and it's about a couple of northern kids went down to try and help black people get registered to vote, and they disappeared. And they send down a couple of FBI guys. And the FBI guys do a bit of investigation, and then they just call in their mates, and it's like they fuck that whole town up because all the cops are on the KKK, and they fuck them up. Man. That's what I was saying. You send someone down to the town and say this is martial law, and if those people in that town don't obey and they murder that guy, or they don't work along the lines that he's supposed to be telling them, then you send more people down and enforce them to. You obey the main government's laws, or they come down on you. You know what I mean?
What I was saying about getting shot, that doesn't apply to the entirety of the martial law area, right? That happens on the front line. That happens in the action zone, right? Otherwise, you get court-martialed, and there is no habeas corpus.
Well, you don't court-martial civilians for not obeying martial law. Martial law is you obey what the government's telling you, or we come down on you. The name of the movie is Mississippi Burning.
They would court-martial. They would court-martial because they don't have anything other but that. That's their way of. That's their felony or what do you call it?
Under martial law, you don't even need to hold a court. If you've broken the laws that the martial law is instigated, it's either you get shot or you're put in jail. That's it. There's no courts. You broke the law, and this is the punishment for it.
You have martial courts, and people do get
not under martial law. Look, you're mistaken.
Yes, under martial law.
For martial law. Martial law, it's like bang. This is coming down in your head.
You should probably know,
tell you, or you're done.
Church, you kind of just got here, so you should probably know that the whole inspiration behind the topic is the fact that Barney's lived through a martial law, so he's kind of the authority here.
How is an authority? I mean, unless he broke the law and got killed, how would you know how they act? You know what I mean?
Living through it?
Jesus.
Yeah, living through it and obeying the rules. What we're talking about is martial law, and what I'm saying is if you break martial law, you're not going to court. They've got the right to shoot you in the fucking street.
I would think
so if you would not interrupt me, I would be able to actually say what I mean by that. So if you're on the front line, if there is action and you disobey a direct order from or stand in the way, disrupt the actions of a military, they will shoot you. Otherwise, they will take you as a prisoner and court-martial you. Court-martialing literally is you will be imprisoned for an indefinite amount of time and your court date may never arrive, which is what you're talking about. Yes, but they will actually have and hold court-martials for civilians at appropriate times, and it depends on the situation. If you're on the front line, you get shot. If you're behind the front line, you get put away. And there were literally situations where people were put away for the duration of the war without ever reaching the stage of being court-martialed. And then afterwards, people just said, yeah, you know what, you doesn't matter, right? It's no longer relevant. You were put out of the way, and that's fine.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
yes, there were people who were court-martialed during the war and after the war, civilians.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it depends on what rule you've broken. Under martial law, if you're caught looting, they just shoot you. There's no put you in jail. They just shoot you because that's the rules. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not
you get what I'm saying? It's like it depends what rule you've broken under martial law. You know?
And also under martial law, you are the part that I was saying. Are you a civilian or not? If you're just a civilian, if you're a support, then you're kind of part of the military, one way or the other.
But martial law
if you're a
for
civilian,
civilians.
you're what?
Martial law is for civilians.
Martial law is
for everything and everybody.
Yeah, it's something that happens. It's not designed for.
Yes, and
but I mean, when they impose martial law on the town, they're not imposing it on soldiers. They're imposing it on the civilians in that town. It's for civilians. And now you're under martial. You're under military law.
Actually, I would think that would force you to either stand your allegiance to us or leave. Is what I would think that would mean.
Yeah. The thing that I was
they're putting you under military law. You know what I mean? Yeah.
The thing that I was trying to say is that there is a situation, and there have been situations of stuff like armed civilians, where the army would give civilians weapons and point them in the right direction and say, "Shoot there," right? Shoot those people.
Well, that's also part of martial law. They can recruit. They can recruit civilians to fight for them. You know that. That is part of the martial law that they instigated during the Civil War.
That's
military. Are you allergic to the ends of my sentences?
I never heard that one.
No, but you seem to be arguing that there's like a difference between martial law and using civil law. Civil law is take out. Martial law means it's military law. There's no civil law. They take it out. There's no judges. There's no juries.
And also consideration of others.
Yes. Oh, that's not true. There is a lot of consideration of others, and in a lot of situations, like so. From that lived experience. That doesn't immediately turn the army against you, or for the most part, it doesn't turn people into monsters. You will still have a lot of good soldiers and people who are out there genuinely to help you, who are approaching the martial law, being the army in place, being the military in place, as we're here to help you. Just don't be an idiot, right? And you can talk and negotiate and civilly discuss things if it's the appropriate time and place. But if somebody's shooting at them and you walk up and want to discuss the philosophy of sovereign citizenship, yes, at that point you're going to get shot. Just literally as a I don't have time for this.
Is that a new story, Q? Or is that like an old that happened before?
What? No, this is from about 22 hours ago. It's actually pretty scary, I think.
How long is it?
It's, I don't know, like a few minutes. It's a news report. It's 2 minutes.
An educational approach until now. San Jose police are quickly responding to violent crimes such as this assault case this afternoon. And now they promise to just as readily respond to violations of the shelter-in-place orders.
Those of you that know me, we're not going to stay educational for long.
Right?
Yeah,
if
we're
people
watching
aren't
it
paying
right
attention
now.
to this.
I'm just
Police Chief Eddie
audio,
Garcia read from a list of 56 non-essential
Oh, you
businesses
could probably
his
play the whole thing
officers
because it's
found
legit
that
news. And that's Commons, Creative Commons.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh yeah, I'll definitely play it then. But you guys may have to go to YouTube because I don't want to have to click.
There's like two news sources that aren't actually news sources that you might mistake, which would be like the BBC or like TMZ. You can't really use those.
Police are quickly responding to violent crimes.
But if it's
such
like
as
a
this
local
assault
news
case
station, you
this
can always use it.
afternoon. And now they promise to just as readily respond to violations of the shelter-in-place orders.
Those of you that know me, we're not going to stay educational for long if people aren't paying attention to this.
Police Chief Eddie Garcia read from a list of 56 non-essential businesses his officers found that have stayed open in violation of health department orders to shut down to slow the spread of coronavirus.
We're listening to
clothing
a
stores, 9 hair salons,
Oh, sorry,
6
I
barber
can't hear
shops, 8 smoke shops, 2 flower shops, 3 gyms, 1 sporting goods store, 1 video game store, 1 billiards hall, 1 gun store, 1 recycling center, 1 furniture store, 1 flea market, and 1 car wash.
Essential businesses that can stay open are places like grocery stores, laundromats, auto repair shops, and drive-through restaurants, but not vape shops like this one we found still open today. San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo urged neighbors to turn in violators to 311.
Yes, we're going to depend on the public, and no, it's not snitching. It's simply informing authorities to ensure that we can all be safe.
Some businesses are closed but appear to still be open because they left their open signs on, like this hair salon. Police say certain patrol cars on each shift are now designated as health order compliance cars. Their main job will be making contacts with businesses that should be shut down. But
that is insane.
Scary, huh?
Yeah, because well, that's wow. So like, that kind of goes both. At one point, I mean, I get it, 100% get it, but at the same time, it's like, if we get angry and revolt against the cops, we're asking for martial law, like enforcing. Like Barney was saying, there's a difference. I think now, I think that's what they're trying to do now. Now where they're going, okay, let's see if we're gonna have a problem, and if we do, we're gonna have to bring the military in, and I don't want that part. I really
that's exactly it, right? This is the state of the emergency. If the civil society, not meaning the government, civil society meaning civilians, people like you, if they can get organized and get their shit together to get through this, then fine. If not, then civil society has failed. Time for plan B.
Yeah. And that's what I honestly be worried about. And like I said, I live in a military town, so if it does, I'm going to be in ground zero of martial law, in my opinion. Or I guess it would depend on if what areas are doing the stupid shit. But they're going to be based. I mean, they're going to be based from here. I got just 4 different bases in my vicinity.
Sean, you're probably going to be very safe because if most of the people around you are military, they're not going to be running about fucking doing shit. So you're going to be very safe in your area.
I'm
what
not
they're
safe
talking
at all,
about here is
they have a quarantine less than 10 miles from my house.
No, that's a quarantine. That's not military law, mate.
No, I'm talking about, it's on the military base.
What I posted there, military law is when civil law breaks down and the cops can't deal with it. That's when they send the military in.
I'm telling you right now, the military is heavily involved in what's going on right now. Like I said, they have one of their main quarantines. Most of the cruise liner ships, the cruise ships that were off the California coast, all those passengers of the 2 ships and a bunch of other quarantine that came from China, Americans that came from China, they're being quarantined to less than 10 miles from my house right now. That's no bullshit.
I'm not saying it's bullshit, but you live in an area where it's lots of military people. They're all going to be obeying the law, mate. They're not going to be breaking the law, so you're not going to get military law forced on you. You'll be
yeah,
cool.
they're going. Well, definitely not on me because I'm not going to piss them off. Look where I'm at right now. I have zero plans on moving. I've been given a reason to sit on my ass and be online. Ha 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 ha.
You're going to be living in amongst all the families whose husbands were sent off to fucking
here's the thing.
take over a town and make it and get back to normal. You know what I mean?
I will see the majority of what's going on because I'm in construction, and as far as I know, I haven't seen any reports saying differently. But my industry is not affected by this. I will still be working. The problem is for me is, like I said, I'm in right now. San Diego has had 3 weeks of rain. Not normal.
Yeah, that's not normal.
We're way too late in the season. Right now, we're starting to get mild. We're starting to get a little humid. Not very humid, but it's not rain. That's for damn sure.
I didn't know San Francisco got any rain until like August or some fucking thing. You know,
Frisco gets a little bit more than we do. They're a little bit more north. They're just when they start getting into the foothills of California. I'm in the desert region. We don't get very much rain at all. And just in this 3 weeks, we've gotten I think 3 inches, which is above our average already.
What's up, Sean? Is it possible for you to work from home with your digger digging holes in your house? No, it's not possible, is it? You can't just work from home.
Nah, I wish I could though. That'd be awesome.
No,
yeah,
I'm thinking Skyfly. I'm thinking in 20 years I will be able to.
Oh yeah,
it'll be a robot.
Remote control diggers, and you work them like they would do with the drones.
Yep, I can see that happening.
You can do it from home. Yeah.
There's a company in Japan that has a remote machine. It's very small. It's like a I don't know if anyone knows. It's a walk along loader. So it acts just like a loader.
I think I've seen it on the YouTube.
Yeah, but
they have them in supermarkets.
Yes, exactly.
Move.
Yep, and you walk right behind it, and you have the controls right there. Japan has one that they have, but I don't think it's in America, and I think it's still in prototype situation right now. But that's going to be in 20 years. That will be where construction is. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, but I'm sure I've seen a crane. I think it's like a 50-meter crane, from the ground on like a toggle. You know what I mean? A handset. I'm sure I've seen it on YouTube as well, and that might be China as well, man.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, technology is a beast. People think fucking flying cars with the technology. There's far more things that they're gonna figure out that's gonna be amazing. When it comes to the fact that we're having a pandemic,
Spit it out, Sean.
I'm mostly trying to figure out a way to even ask the question because it's kind of it is a loaded question. I know it is. It'd be when the military. So when your situation, Barney, the martial law was obviously a good thing. When does a martial law say? When in America would you say martial law would be bad? Or for what?
When Donald Trump gets unelected and says that he's going to put the army on the seat because he thinks that there was some crazy thing going on with the voting and he doesn't believe the vote was right. You know what I mean?
No, I ain't going to say shit about that.
Fair enough.
No, but I'm just saying, you said when would it happen in America? I think that could maybe not Donald Trump, but some president who doesn't like to get unelected, he could maybe say we're cancelling the election, the numbers were fixed.
That happens every year,
If it comes to martial law, the fact that it came to martial law is a bad thing in itself.
Okay.
Right? It's not that martial law is bad. It is that the situation has become so dire that martial law is required. Martial law almost always is a good thing as a last-ditch attempt measure to deal with an unsolvable situation.
It's your last way before all all solutions are exhausted, basically.
Could
Or
could
once.
martial law help us with this woman who bought, like, I don't even know how much paper product in this
Yes.
video?
Yeah, they can arrest her ass.
Can they go
No.
to her house
No, they
and
can just
confiscate
and take.
the paper?
Can't the
Yes.
supermarket
Pass it out?
people
Yes.
just say, well,
Yes.
can't the
So-
supermarket people just say you can't have that and we're not putting it through
God
the
damn it,
till,
Tris,
so
I
you've got to
asked
have
Barney a
that.
question.
Once
Okay,
again,
sorry.
yes, martial law is ceasing of civil law and civil rights. That includes the right of property. So once martial law is declared, the army can come and take whatever the fuck they want from you. Now, one point that I was trying to make and just couldn't get the end of the sentence a little while ago is they can do that. They can take your property, they can give you a gun and point you into the direction and say shoot that person and shoot you if you don't. The reason why they can do that is everything that's illegal about that will be resolved only after the martial law has ended. Right.
Yeah,
All the Geneva Conventions, all the rules of war, all the codes of conduct, property, and stuff like that, those will not get resolved during martial law. So if they come and take your shit, there's no recourse you can take until after the martial law.
Yeah, after martial law, then you can have redress because they've broken martial law because they're supposed to live under the code of the military code. And if they've broken the military code, then that's not martial law.
So does that mean during state of martial law that a country can implement the draft no matter what, even America, because we don't have a draft?
Well, they don't have to have martial law to implement the draft.
Yes, they do. They do it here in America. They will have to. They can't.
No, they just have to pass a law that implements the draft.
The House
That law
and
will
Senate
not
has to
get
pass
passed.
it, and
but
the president.
Exactly, Barney. That's exactly what I meant by it. they could try. It won't pass. It will never pass a million years. But during martial law,
yes. As I said, so it is under the Geneva Convention. It is internationally illegal to force civilians to fight.
But
under martial law, a soldier can come up to you, give you a gun, and say, "Shoot it there." And if you don't, they can shoot you.
And that's that whole fighting age thing, right?
Well, I don't know if that's it. No.
Well,
I think I'm wrong about America. I don't think Americans can force civilians to become soldiers. And I think that in America, you actually have a law, a federal law.
Yeah, they can.
That,
They can.
No,
they hire civilians.
Yes.
About
No, let me explain what I'm saying.
No.
I think you have federal laws as well that says that state troopers, not state troopers. What do you got? The militia, state militia, can't be forced to go and work in another state, and I think that's a good. There's a good reason for that. I'm not certain, but I think that is.
They have the military hires those private.
I'm not talking private. What I'm saying is
that's what I am, because they have so. Yeah. I was a civilian that worked on base, and I can guarantee you there are civilian like when they went to Iraq and did the construction stuff. There were guys like me. I know guys that were running machines that went to Iraq to work as civilian contractors. Listen, they worked as civilian contractors, and they were handed guns without training or without military training.
And get on the wall,
And their job, and they're told, if we're engaged, you shoot back. Here's a gun. If they don't, they're getting in trouble. So like that's what I mean. I kind of forgot.
But that's not what I'm talking about. What I was trying to talk about is, say, I'm talking about inside America, right? I think there is a federal law that one state can't send its. What do you call that when you sign up as like a weekend soldier in America?
What, like a vacation?
No, like you leave the army, but you join the state militia, whatever it's called.
Militia.
We don't have militias.
National Guard.
National Guard.
I think it's a federal law that they can't send one National Guard from one state into another state. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that there's a law
they can and
against
they do.
that.
There's is actually right. They can't, but that is a civil law. Right?
Yeah, so
Our
you're
nat-
saying the president can override that with martial law?
Yes. Martial law overrides civil law. Martial law is the statement that civil law and civil rights no longer apply. No courts, no civil services, nothing except by mandate of the army, of the military.
Our National Guard goes to emergencies that happen in different states.
No, but that's a different thing. What I'm saying is they can't send them to police in another state. I think it's in the federal law that you can't send them to police in another state, and the reason for that is
that's the same thing. Like
if you keep them in their own state, they won't shoot their own brothers and sisters. But if you send them to another state, it's strangers.
That's the same thing as
the founding fathers says not to do it.
That's the same thing as how like highway patrol in their jurisdictions. I get that makes sense. That's why each state has a National Guard.
No, that's why I think that there's a lot of good things in the sort of like American the Constitution, because I'm sure it's in there that you can't do that, and I'm sure there's probably ways they've worked around it now because they're not going there to police.
That's probably why they have a National Guard in each state, so they don't have to.
So just recently there was a great stream by a YouTuber called Uncivil Law. He's a lawyer and does things. He does a really cool show, playing and commenting on audio tracks of the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And their arguments. But there was one thing that was pointed out. Martial law, declaring martial law itself, as overpowered as it is, has to pass something that's called strict scrutiny.
Oh,
meaning that yes, and that reason, that term strict scrutiny under law is meaning literally there was no other option. We have done it in. He was talking about quarantine, which has the same measure, right?
Mm-mm.
Can they restrict the movement of people and imprison people in their homes? Yes, under strict scrutiny. If it is the most efficient and least restricting method available of dealing with the issue.
And understand this:
I think
the money,
thing.
Hang on, Tersh. That the money that they're talking about, and this goes for all the countries. This is a world thing that I've noticed, and I understand it, and I want to make sure everyone else does. Any money that they're going to send to anybody for the situation at hand, which is actually an honorable thing for each government. Like I said earlier, I think this is a perfect timing to see for each of our own countries, can we depend on our government to help in a situation? It's a big thing, but don't get anything twisted. That money is a keep the civilians calm money. That has nothing to do with their hearts. That's keep everyone calm money. Just so everyone understands that.
And we're going to have to pay it back later as well.
No.
But what I was going to say, I think there's also like a federal constitutional law. Wait, can I just?
Yeah, but that's
not true though. There's also a constitutional law about if the president, for instance, wants to instigate martial law in a state, it has to get the go ahead from the governor of that state. I think it's the governor he has to get the agreement of. Otherwise, it's illegal. I'm not sure if this is absolutely true.
It would be like Congress or Senate. It would have nothing to do with the governor, because that would be the reason they were moving in, because the governor couldn't. Governor can ask for the National Guard to step in. They do that all the time. They ask for federal help all the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think the governor can also say, no, we can handle it and you're wrong, because they're on the ground. I think there's something in the Constitution about that.
No.
I'm not certain, Sean. I'm just saying.
If they're able to do it, the martial law would never be implemented. That's what we're getting at. The governor would never go, I think we got it from here, boys. Head out. No. The government is saying they can't do it. We're here to do it. So the governor is not going to be able to say we got it now. That would be up to the federal government. They would, or the military. I'm sorry. Yeah, it would be up to the United States
you
military.
know, as I say, I think there's something in the Constitution about the governors have to agree with the president before it's instituted.
No, again, martial law is saying you guys can't do it. We're doing it. It's not asking for help. Again, a governor asking for help is completely different than martial law saying we have to be here because you can't do it. The National Guard helps all the time. The governors, they ask for help.
I'm not talking about help. I'm talking about,
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm trying to
say. The governor.
I think there is something in your constitution about that. I've read the constitution. I'm just thinking there is something there about that where it can't be imposed. It needs to be agreed to by the governor. And if the governor disagrees, I think the president has to get a sanction from the House and Senate. I'm just saying, you've got a lot of stops and balances in your country, and I think I've read somewhere that something like that.
It is actually in the Constitution that the rights granted by the Constitution are suspended under martial law if required.
Yeah, they're taking over. It's not a situation where we're working as a team. It's you guys suck.
A governor asking for martial law would literally be the statement of, guys, the local government is out. We quit.
We don't want to do it anymore.
America is full of stops and balances, and I think there's something there that I read in the Constitution about that. The governor has to agree, or the House and Senate has to agree with the president.
Barney
imposed. You know what I mean?
Barney went over that. Yeah, Barney went over that already, saying that it falls for martial law to be implemented. It falls under heavy scrutiny.
So America has another gap stop that I've mentioned already, where in most of the world, martial law automatically means that the military has all the power. Under American rules, the Congress still retains the right to make laws and command the military.
Wait, isn't the president
beyond that? And they have to specifically declare that it's a military rule.
Okay, see, it's different. Under times of war, the Prime Minister can suspend the House and just dictate what gets done, and it's completely different from America. There's no stopgap. There's no checks and balances for him under a war footing, But we would the country itself would have to be under attack for him to take those powers. That's the thing,
Well, you're saying that we don't, but we haven't gone into war for you to say that we won't, or we don't roll like that. We're just not in a situation.
No, I'm not talking about America now. I'm talking about Britain. Under British, parliamentary regulations, that the Prime Minister, if Britain was attacked, say Russia bombed Scotland or whatever, the Prime Minister could take total control for the country and suspend Parliament and just dictate what's going to happen. It's a different thing from your presidency and your Senate.
Both our governments have different.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to explain the difference. You know what I mean? The president doesn't have the right to do that without either agreement from the state government or going to the House and Senate. In my country, my Prime Minister can suspend all rules across the country and take total control.
Well, that's Congress. That's what Barney was just saying.
Yeah. Congress needs to. So, President, I think, can declare martial law, but the Congress needs to sign off the law rights to the military in the U.S. But under martial law, the supreme leader is the president. He is the head of the military.
Yeah, no, Barney, in your country, you're saying you're from Hungary or something. Your Prime Minister could take over the whole country. You know what I mean? Just by diktat. He could suspend Parliament and just take over. You know what I mean? If you want.
We have the third like we have a different parliamentary system where we have both a prime minister and a president, and the president and the president is the chief of the armed forces, but the prime minister is the chief of the executive.
Yes, I was just about to ask that. So, in American sense, so Trump is the commander in chief of our military. In a martial law, which can be that's where I'm confused. So, if let's say the government is found to be corrupt, right? Does the president encompass the government, or does the president part of the military?
So it depends on how martial law comes about. So one of the methods under which martial law comes about, which is unconstitutional, it is a constitutional crisis. It is literally falling apart of the country. Is that the military says that the government is so corrupt or so failing that the military is taking over temporarily.
Yes.
In that case, so. I keep forgetting which one was it. Was it Romania? I think it was Romania. Their president was a dictator despot that ruled for 20 years and was acting not merely like a king, but as a czar, like completely oblivious of the people, just self-serving to the extreme degree, right? And ultimately, the military moved in, removed the president, removed the government, set the blank clean, held the country under military rule, not merely military law, but under military rule, military being the government, until things settle down, and then organize an election for the next civil government.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, that makes sense.
And even though by their constitution and by their law and all of that, their president was the ruler of the military said, "Fuck you, you're an idiot, you're going down." And we have the guns, like, we don't want to argue with you, we have the guns.
Yeah, I mean, when a country gets so badly corrupted that, you can't trust your government to look after the people, and that's their job, you need to remove that government.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and again, you have many cases of military coups which were done by the corrupt military.
Yeah, where they took over and they put their general in the presidency. Yeah.
Where where the higher up in the military had enough power for themselves that they kind of said, fuck it, we want it all.
Yeah, but that's not military law. That's a coup. That's a proper coup. A military coup is when the military takes over and puts a general in charge. Martial law is when the military takes over, and then once they've got the country under control, they hold elections and let a civil leader take over again. That's not a coup. That's military. What do you call it? Martial law.
It is a coup. That is a coup. Removal
it's
of
not
a government is a coup.
Taking over. That's what you do with a coup. You're taking over. But if you're just removing someone, that's not a coup.
They took over. It was.
Well, they didn't. Again, if they held elections later, they didn't take over. They let the civil order reaffirm itself. So it's not a coup. No, it's a different thing.
Well, no, it's not, because they ruled the country in the interim time. They instituted civil elections as part of their rule. Like they came in as a benevolent ruler, but that is a coup. They took over, they became government, they took rule, they ruled over the country for a prolonged period of time until all the unrest settled down, and only then said, okay, our job is done, we're now going to reform civil society, right? It is still a coup.
No, that's what I'm saying. The aims of taking over was not to put the military in charge. The aim was to get the country back to a normal civil control. That it's not a coup in the real sense of a coup. A coup is when you plan to take over and keep charge forever. You know what I mean? That's a coup. You know.
Okay. I will say that English is a second language for me, and that in all the other languages that I speak, cool means something else than in English. So, if that's what you want me to say.
Well, it's like
right?
when
A coup literally means removing from power.
No, a coup is to take over and put yourself in, on top. That's a coup.
Okay.
The military didn't take over to put themselves on top in the case you're talking about. They took over to remove a bad leader and then have elections to get a better leader. So they weren't intending to rule the country. They were just fixing the problem,
No point in going for round 4 of the same statements.
Yeah, a real coup is when Gaddafi, who was a general in the army, removed the head of state in his country and then ruled until he died. That's a coup. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying,
2 ears, 1 mouth. There's a lot of songs for social distancing these days.
I played a lot of them tonight.
Well,
There have been several YouTube channels called Social Distancing started today as well.
That's what I should have titled the stream. It's time for some clickbait, people. No, I'm playing.
I don't know if you want to do that with the martial law topic.
Nah, definitely not.
If you're going to call it social distancing, you should talk about social distancing.
Yeah, no.
Arwen did some social distancing earlier, Sean, from me.
You did?
Oh, yeah, he did. He called me a fucking bitch, told me to go fuck myself, said some other obscene things that I didn't exactly hear, and then he left. And then he came back and he did it again, and then he left again. So I think he's got social distancing down.
Oh, yeah, he's really good at it. That's great. It was, again, I'm pissed. I didn't get any notifications. I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. I think someone suggested it in the chat where I'm gonna need to start doing uploads for my live stream, because I really it sounds like I'm just bullshit. Like, seriously, I didn't get one notification. When I look in my right now, if I go to that little bell and I scroll down, Jose's not on here. He's not here at all.
It's bad. It's bad. It's how it is.
And like I said, at first I was like, did I miss it? Like, what the fuck? And I'm just going through. I don't see it at all.
I don't know. People are posting videos of tanks on trains again.
Oh, that happens all the time. They can get that in.
They're like practically the same videos they were posting last time.
Probably the same.
I swear to God, I saw the one before. It looks identical to so it's just like, okay, so they the same got videos they were going posting to a base. last time. Big deal.
Probably
not
the same. Yeah, that's.
They just they have to it's like an old ass video, and they're just posting it today and saying, look, the military is coming to Illinois. No, it's not, dude. That video's from 2014.
For those things are at the depot already or sold. But that's the thing. It's like people they say that, but it's like, how come you guys aren't saying this when nothing's going on? Because they're doing it while most of the time they're always doing that shit. I see it all the time. I see them on trucks. I see them driving. I see everything.
Dude, if the military was going to come in, would they really send a bunch of vehicles in on a train?
No, they'll drive them in.
That's what I'm saying.
And use them.
A bunch of vehicles in on a train.
Yeah, that's not how it works. They don't drive their boats on a trailer put them in the ocean, and then start a war. It doesn't work that way. They come prepared.
Just don't get it.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, the military is the least of that people's worries, I think. Worry about damn disease and shit. Just keep your asses inside.
I mean,
Did you see this lady with the toilet paper telling everybody to F off?
I did. I watched it a little while ago. These people are crazy. What do you expect?
Barney tells me martial law says they can go in there and take all that paper product away from her and redistribute it.
Absolutely.
I should.
Ethics and humanity and moral outcry will make people do that shit to her.
Yeah, I mean, people have a bad view of their governments because of what's gone on before. But I mean, seeing times like what we're going through now, I think the government and the military and your police force, they tend to become more sort of more attuned to the needs of the people because we're in different times now. I believe that anyway.
Yeah, it's not
even
a war
situation. Start to act nice. You know what I mean? It's weird, isn't it?
Well, put it this way, like I said, I call myself a conspiracy theorist, but Davros, they like it when I say a conspiracy analyzer. And I can tell you right now, even if it was right now, you wouldn't have enough information or enough time to collect all this information and get to the bottom of something to be able to say that this is a hoax or biological weapon. Like, right, this is like one situation where you kind of have to just shut the fuck up and listen to your government. And if you don't cry when you get you sick or die. Because and I'm telling you right now, if any of them hoaxers or auto hoaxers come out and like, I got coronavirus, I'm like, fuck, good for you. You fucking idiot. And those are the people that are gonna get it. The ones that are like, it's not going on. I'm happy as shit I figured it out. I'm happy as shit I didn't ignore it anymore.
See, I've got this conspiracy theory that the government is putting, soldiers around hospitals and food stores because they're worried about, wandering groups of teenagers who are infected, running into the stores and touching everybody and getting them all infected.
I have this conspiracy theory that all conspiracy theories are started by intelligence and counterintelligence agencies to get people off the trail of what's really going on.
It's all a false flag. The whole thing.
It's just one guy.
So, yeah.
It's just one guy somewhere.
So you're like, what do you mean? Yeah, exactly.
It's one 400-pound guy in his basement making up all the conspiracies,
And running the
it's
government.
The conspiracy theory.
Yeah. It's a conspiracy theory of everything.
No, just literally the conspiracy theories themselves, the stories that are circulating around the internet and through the underbelly, right? that all of that is planted by the counterintelligence agencies to throw civilians off the track of what's really going on.
Yeah, what's really going on, though?
There's 4 guys sitting in a room, and they're all going, "Hit this. We got to think of something."
Yep.
Think it's something for what?
They're having the big hit in the bong first, and they're saying, "Oh,
like what? Like aliens are landing. The planes were holograms.
Don't talk to me about holograms again.
Everything's a fucking auto hoax. The word auto hoax.
It's all getting beamed into our heads from satellites. We've got to put tin hats on. You know what I mean?
Those are the aliens. That's not satellites.
You think aliens have landed?
I think aliens. Yes, I do.
If aliens have landed, where?
On a meteorite.
Oh my God, they're all over. You've not seen them?
On a meteorite, and then we evolved from that, from a bacterial collision with Earth.
Oh, I thought you meant that's what the hoax was for. The aliens.
Oh no, I'm being serious. I think it was a couple of days ago. Yesterday we were talking about that. The whole thing, just everything's blue. Went, wow, that could be exactly how we got. That explains. That would be what is it? Abiogenesis.
Abiogenesis.
Yes,
Did
that
you
would.
know the Queen was
That
an
could.
alien?
That would have more
No, she's a
backing.
lizard
Trump
person.
Putin are aliens.
That would have more backing than a lot of the things that is the start of life on Earth.
Well, I've always wondered how come.
Well, here's the thing,
come
Sean. I'll
none
tell
of
you
the
something.
poor
Wait,
people begging for money are aliens?
Sean, here's the thing. If aliens did, okay, let's say there were aliens. I would say that aliens anywhere in the universe, intelligent life would evolve human. It would always be human, no matter what, right? Maybe they'd breathe different air qualities, whatever. But they'd always look like human beings because that'd just be how they evolved. So let's just say that that's granted. Now, the biggest risk to an alien population when invading another alien population is the germs.
Yes.
Yes.
No, it's not.
Okay, Barney. Sorry, I tried.
It's not.
Only if we share the same genetics.
Well, she just said they were human.
I said we were human. We're all human. They just
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that though.
Region of space.
Do you realize how hard it is for a bat's virus to transition to humans?
Yeah,
that it happens only once in
the government anywhere. You know what I mean?
And we're basically the same clade of like we're both mammals.
But Barney, did you miss the first part of my statement where I said we're going to take it for granted that all intelligent life is human life in the universe, so that if intelligent life evolves somewhere else in the universe, it would be human. So then the alien population would be invading us, would be humans from another region of space.
Conceded.
Yes, but you would have divergent evolution, not living in the same environment, not sharing, not having gene transmission. Like you would have speciation of the kind that you cannot see on Earth, literally.
How do you know that, Barney? How could maybe life everywhere in the universe just be the same?
Genetics.
Yeah.
The theory of evolution.
We've never seen any genetics from anywhere else, so maybe it is all the same everywhere.
Even if it is all the same, even if life is only possible as RNA and DNA code, right? Even if it's the same chemistry everywhere, the chances of the same gene sequence being there is minimal, given the diversity of what we can see on Earth.
And the biggest problem is,
what if universes always make Earths and Earths always make humans?
Here's the thing. That's the thing right there. Because what the problem I see is that all we're doing is looking for us.
If nature is consistent, then any human born anywhere in the universe is still going to be a human, and any cold virus is still going to be a cold virus. Maybe that's how we find out.
That's not true at all.
Well, maybe that's how we find out where the aliens are. They're immune to the coronavirus because that was their common cold.
Who are you going to test it on?
What the hell?
That
was like a string of licorice tears.
But that's one of the biggest issues that I see with the alien thing, because over the time that I've been around, I actually have changed. I used to think no way impossible, but honestly, I think that it's more than possible that there is a different extraterrestrial race somewhere. The problem I see with it is that
Buckingham Palace.
For real, we're looking for us. We're looking for Earth-like planets. We're looking for, you know what I mean? We're not looking for something that would be different, I think. We're looking for us. So if we're looking for us, we're looking for Earth-like planets, we are literally looking for other human life. And I think that's not a good road. That's not the path you're supposed to be doing. They're not going to be like us. We are only us.
Yeah, but we're not looking for aliens. We're looking for a planet we can move to when we fuck this one up.
No, but it's already, if there's a planet like this one, it probably already has humans.
Yeah, that's the idea of it. And we know there are millions.
The good reason for that is it's very likely going to be carbon-based. It could be silicon-based. It could be arsenic-based to some degree, but neither of those make nearly as many molecules as carbon can.
Yeah.
No, just kinds and types of molecules.
Yeah, because when I remember, I kind of looked through silicon-based life. If it was, because there's theories that actually Earth was silicon-based for a long time before the whatever you call it, I forget what it's called. It starts with a T though. But anyway, fuck. Keep going, Barney. I fucking already forgot.
I can tell you one thing, right? We're not going to find an aquatic interplanetary space species. It's got to be someone who's climbed out onto the land and made a rocket. So fish are not making rockets, right? So we're not going to find an aquatic species in space, but we might find insects or reptile species. That's possible.
So the argument is fair in the sense that oxygen-based fires require radical oxygen, require free oxygen available to the fire for the fire to burn. However, you have a lot of Gallic reactions, which are reactions where the fuel is the oxidizer. And those burn just fine underwater. So it's not impossible. It is very unlikely. I agree. It is much more likely that it will not be, but it is not impossible for them to have had discovered fire underwater and have been able to build
fire underwater.
Right, we did.
What do you mean? There's lava underwater.
Yeah.
But
lava is not fire. Lava is
flame,
just hot. It's not open flame. Right, but you can have open flame underwater. You can have Gallic reactions.
Yeah, but you would have to know about gases and
That's what I meant
compression,
to say.
and you're not going to get that
natural
underwater.
gas leaks. That's what I meant. You can burn natural gas leaks underwater.
How are you going to make it
Nope. You can't. You don't have the oxygen. Right.
There's oxygen in water.
Like you have.
No, you have hydrogen. Hydrogen will burn it. You can make a spark, but you can't make a spark underwater.
Yeah,
not without artificial, like obviously electric. You have to make a battery and all that. You're not going to even have the ability to develop a battery underwater. It's just impossible. You know what I mean?
How is it impossible?
Because it's going to discharge into water. You're never going to be able to contain. How the hell are you going to learn to contain electricity underwater? It's just impossible. You're never going to get there. It's an impossible task.
Weld underwater. Wait, what?
You can weld underwater.
You can above ground. We developed that in the air and took it down there. You couldn't do it underwater.
Anything where the reaction is exothermic, meaning that it releases heat in sufficient quantities to cause plasma, is a fire. Gallic reactions, things where the fuel is the oxidizer, including stuff like gunpowder and can burn underwater if they have their own oxidizer within them.
You have to make them above water to make them burn.
No, you don't.
You can't make them underwater. They're a sludge. They're mud. You can't make it. You know what I mean?
Church. We weld, we torch, we do all these things underwater. Therefore, we can't.
Yes, but we developed them above ground and took them underwater. You didn't develop them underwater. You can't develop them underwater. It's impossible.
Wait, what? Yeah, you develop them underwater if you want to use them underwater, Tersh.
No, he's right. We don't live underwater, so we developed them above water and then took them underwater. But that does not mean that it is impossible to develop them underwater.
We did, but
I
agree with you.
Even have the first fire underwater.
Just
how
one.
Would you even have the first fire underwater?
It would have to be a Gallic reaction. It would have to be some source of two chemicals that, when they combine, they produce a Gallic reaction. So, in the same sense that, how would you produce fire above water if there was no cyanobacteria, if they didn't create the free elemental oxygen in the atmosphere, right? You couldn't.
Well, you can.
You couldn't.
You don't have any of that. All you need is electricity and wood, or methane escaping from the surface and electricity hitting.
If you do not have oxygen,
thunder and lightning and gas releasing from that, bang, you've got fire. You know what I mean? If
you do not have oxygen, you will not have fire, no matter how much fuel you have, nor how many sparks.
There's no free oxygen in water. There's no free oxygen in water.
Videos I posted.
Yes.
Yeah, we're watching these videos, and they're doing a lot of stuff underwater with fire. But
this is stuff that we developed above water, and then. And
we're not fish, Kirsch. We're not okay. That's like saying that's like Kirsch.
This is not natural fucking shit.
What you're saying? What you're saying is the ISS having a craft in space is impossible because we don't live in space, so we couldn't create something in space. Yeah, you're right. We created it here and we sent it to space.
We took it into space and we took everything underwater. Okay,
you're right.
I don't know how.
You're right. You're right. I see what Barney's saying. You're right, but that you're
underwater.
But you're saying
from start to
no. Tersh, hang on, because I see what Barney's saying when he says he agrees with you. Because what you're saying is correct. The problem with what you're saying is it almost makes no sense because. Of course, we made it here on Earth in air because we breathe air, and then we put the stuff into the water so that we can be underwater. Like
we take it under there,
and that's the kind of fire that we use. But there are other kinds of fire. There are kinds of fire that can start and burn underwater and be created
and that
underwater.
Stuff we make in the air. No, these are like. Minerals and metals that we take and then we put them,
I got wood.
I don't know.
I don't think it's necessary to argue about the fact that we made them in the air.
Yeah,
I think that's just a technicality.
So, I agree. I agree with 90% of what he said, but that 10% at the end is bothering me so much.
Hang on.
It is very unlikely. It is much more
metal. People are showing metal that reacts with water, burning underwater. Now, if that metal was exposed to
thank you, C4. I'm going to do that super chat. Tersh won't stop, so I'll say it now. C4 said, I believe everything, but I'm told nothing. Thank you, my friend.
Stop it from touching water. I mean, oh my God.
There's more than one kind of metal, Tersh. It's okay.
But as soon as that metal touched water, it would burn.
But that's just one metal. That's okay.
It's not burning. It's underwater.
But there's other ones that don't do that.
Yes, and there are things that when they touch oxygen, they just burn up instantly. How are we ever going to make them?
How are we ever going to make them unless we go underwater? We'll have to make them underwater, Barney. It's okay.
We need gills first, Q. Get that straight. We need gills first.
Oh, technically, our lungs are gills inside out.
No, Q. It's impossible.
You almost made me spit on my computer.
Just turn your lungs inside out, and you'll have gills.
I think
How do you make a furnace underwater to make metal and mold it? How do you do that underwater?
Wait, Q. That first video.
Animal, how do you do that? This is just madness. You're just talking with madness now.
The first video was a
I love talking madness. That's what I'm here for.
Have at it, Barney. Good luck.
I did.
This is what it's
slick.
This is flat. We can have a furnace underwater. Great, you know.
All you need is an exothermic reaction and a way to focus heat. You don't even need fire.
And I'm pretty sure we're getting invaded by dolphins from another planet.
They can start. Did they figure out how to create fire underwater? Because if they did, they'll be much smarter than us. Apparently,
they didn't need fire.
These dolphins are going to be guns and shotguns and shooting us from the water, man. You know, got to watch out for that.
If that's possible. So reality is impossible, but fiction. I'm confused, and it's severely. It's trying times in the world we live in today.
Difficult and unlikely is not the same as impossible. We do many things which are difficult, and many things which are unlikely happen.
Okay, so
like we may, hey Barney, well, how impressive is this then?
Like
Hang on, Trish. How important is this then? That we as air-breathing species made waterproof stuff in the air. Exactly. Mind-blowing, right?
Yes.
Sorry, what?
Mind blown. Your mind is blown. That's why you're saying what?
Yep.
Mind blown, say what? Yo, check this out, Sean.
What's that?
This thing.
DOJ wants to suspend certain constitutional rights during coronavirus cutoff. Like what? Let's find out.
Like detaining arrested people indefinitely.
Indefinitely? Why? Why indefinitely?
Well, see, that's the thing, though. They've been able to do that. Now they just have a reason.
This is fucking terrifying. Why don't they say
exactly why.
Detain you for 30 days and then bring you in front of a judge? Why do they say indefinitely?
Because they don't know how long.
Because they don't know how many cases are going to build up.
Yeah. What happens if this lasts 2 years and they told the guy 3 months? And then he catches it again. He won't stay home, and they know it.
Anybody? What is this?
Because people are stupid and they don't listen. That's why.
A lot of people are getting arrested because they decided to go to the beach.
Mm-hmm. People act like they don't have to fucking listen to nobody.
You remember when people were getting infected and the DOJ, not DOJ, but the Democratic, DNC or whatever, never shut down their voting or anything like that because, well, it's fine. People are going to queue up and vote. They're not going to get infected, you know what I mean?
When did that happen?
Just the other day.
Oh, okay.
Couple of states decided that they're going to hold their elections despite all of this. Let's just cram a bunch of people into a small cubicle and have them use the same pen.
The voting.
How's this for irony? How's this for irony? There's a guy.
We only have one pen, guys. One pen for the rest of our lives.
I'm gonna try to find it real quick. There's a guy in the NBA. He's doing an interview about a week ago. NBA with Corona. Okay, so he's sitting there at the little the what do you call it, press conference, and they're talking, and they're like, "Are you gonna get tested for blah 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 blah?" And he's, oh my god, I can't believe this guy. I gotta share this with you guys. So the asshole gets up, does like that thing where you shout out into the room, and coughs a bunch of times, touches the microphone, touches all the chairs, touches all the walls.
I heard of that. Touched everything.
Yeah. And then 2 days later, positive with
That's
corona.
Positive.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm gonna show it real quick. I don't care if they fucking
basketball player, something like that.
Yeah. You guys can see it there. I'm gonna show it over on the YouTube side right now. Yeah, so here's the story right here. So there you guys go. I'll make it large so you guys can see more of it. It's more about hearing it, really. Yeah, so there's the story.
I can't wait until fucking Joe Biden and Trump start coughing and spewing blood everywhere. I'm going to love that.
What the hell? That's not even the symptoms of this.
What's America going to do when the two people going head to head or die? You know what I mean? What they're going to do?
Good morning,
Church, I
Anthony.
know you
As there's
don't like
certainly some
America,
worry
but
among
elect the young person?
many
I
of them
don't hate
wanting to
America.
keep
I
up
hate
to
It
the
sounds
youth.
like you
Now,
hate
League, as you
America.
running for the
mentioned, has
office.
suspended
Sounds like you got
all
like a gripe
games
against
until further
America.
notice after a player tested
AOC for
positive
president.
for COVID-19.
Look, guys,
The
use
NBA
are
tweeted the
like
news
me. I
yesterday
love you
that
guys.
a
You're
Utah
human people. I
Jazz
love you
player
guys.
had
But
preliminarily
just like I hate
tested
my
positive
government,
for
I
the
fucking hate
virus.
your government.
This came just
I'm
prior
sorry.
to
I'm
the
sorry. I
tip-off
can't
against
be in my
the
plane.
Oklahoma City
You know what I mean?
Thunder. The game was
I don't get
canceled.
why you hate, because I don't like you haven't said anything relevant to having it
Recently
really
appearing to make light of coronavirus concerns in front of reporters,
Both
touching
my
many of the
government and your
mics.
government
As you
knew
might
about
guess,
this in
other
December
professional leagues
last year, and they didn't do fuck all for fucking 3 or 4 months. So that's why I fucking hate them. You know.
That has nothing to do with America. I'm still confused.
Okay, well, even if you hate somebody, why would you want them to bleed out of their eyes?
Yeah, that's kind of.
I guess that's just me. You know what I mean? It's like, you remember, Sean, when you were saying like you're a combative family, and you know you're going break people's arms, and I say, well, the most least amount of force needed. The most least amount of force needed in our government is for Johnson and Trump to die. You know what I mean? That's the most least amount of force needed.
That's literally not even close. What I say? Please don't compare me with that statement you just made. Because I
Okay,
don't
so
feel
let's
that
just
way.
break the fucking arms then. You know what I mean? But getting the fuck out of there. You know.
I just think you. I swear, I don't know.
Hey, do you yell out super chats?
Of course.
C4 gave you $2 and said, "I believe everything, but I'm told nothing."
Yeah, I saw that one. I read it. I read it a while. I think it was a little while ago. I think. Oh,
you didn't.
Okay. No. Okay. So I was trying to say, hang on, let me read my super chat, but Church was talking, so I actually muted myself in here, muted you guys over on that stream, and thanked C4, and then I muted myself.
Good man.
Yeah, because I would have forgotten. So yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, Sean, I'm freezing my ass off, and we've long veered off the topic of martial law and Yugoslav wars and all of that in my childhood. So I'm gonna bid you adieu and see you some other time.
Yes, Barney.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate the conversation. Thank you very much. And I'm sure I got 100 other questions we'll talk about later on.
Sure.
Yep.
Anytime.
Yep.
If martial law was a thing, the Pentagon would invoke martial law, arrest Trump and half the Senate and House, and put them all in jail. You know?
All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here.
Let's get ready before Tess goes crazy and start shouting stuff. You know?
I'm gonna go ahead and get out, guys. I'm gonna mute myself over here and get over on the YouTube side. All right, so yeah, I'm sorry. Church is a militant motherfucker. He hates America. It's so weird. But anyway, that's whatever. Anyway, guys, that was a fun conversation. I wanted to have that conversation with Barney. Mainly, like I said before, me and Barney are the same age, and we both obviously grew up with completely different lifestyles, and it's the realization that he showed that, martial law, it can be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. He showed, the reasons for it, why, where he was from, and we kind of talked about where we are in America with the current situation in martial law. I'm definitely happy I got to hear Barney's side of it, because I got to learn a lot more about it than just the average conversation that we have here and there. But yeah, other than that, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here and stop burning a hole through your ears with no rant. Just don't be stupid and stay safe, and then I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Hip Hop Cola.
CGR. God. Broham. CGR. Yo. I'm in the game like a disto. I'm bustin' around with a flip mode. Like the grind with my shit roll. Need the gas for my fix though. Play pussy, coming to get you. I'm the pistol, you the bullet. It get ratchet, I'ma pull it. Hoodie on, for Trayvon. Your bitch want me, yeah, I'm Adolf, no Hitler. You niggas blind, you don't see the picture. I keep the scale, I'm really off the Richter. But still on the motherfucking adventure. I say you owe me, you niggas get the mention. I'm plugged in like some motherfucking headphones. You be talking, boy, you dead wrong. My man's book, we bout to head home. On a mission, fool, I need my bread though. We taking risks, what the fuck you scared for? You on the grind, but you still broke. And while y'all sleep, the bro still woke. And when a nigga grind, I mean it's still hope. And I laugh at y'all cause y'all a whole joke. Broham. You laugh at him, bro. They a whole joke.
Duke
they ain't fucking with us, man. You know who it is.
Fatality.
Bitch. I'm looking for a come up. I'ma grind till the sun up. Since a young buck, I've been had my funds up. Wish you run up, get you done up. I ain't gotta lift a gun up, but you'll get struck. You stupid as fuck, too busy trying to be us. Whole time, I ain't even shake off the rust. Unable to be touched, getting paper is a must. I see you waiting on the bus, but you hating on us. CGR, you know the campaign, use your damn brain. They say your hard work outweigh everything. So I've been going hard, some things that never change. I can't entertain no lame, get out my lane. I've been the same, I just want the money, keep the fame. So if you talking money, then some things can be arranged. I think I need a Porsche, and my brother need a range. We out here chasing dreams, cause being broke not an option. Here you taking notes and watching. I'm making more deposits on resorts and islands. Smoking on the finest, flyer than a pilot. Shit, I'm getting frequent fly mileage. Chilling with your bitch and getting polished. What the fuck?
Some niggas got hope, other niggas got dreams. Some niggas work jobs, other niggas work schemes. Yeah, we all gotta hustle, most my niggas serve fiends. Some scales, batteries, other niggas are just beams. See me, I stand alone, I don't run with a team. Some say assalamu alaikum, but don't know what it means. Be more gamers, heroin, DC sell both. V8 is straight powder, New York niggas sell soap. Yeah, we all get burned, but some niggas don't learn. So it's a box or an urn, a young nigga get a turn. Everybody know how to follow, some know how to lead. Some niggas just flash their hammers, some know when to squeeze. Some niggas go legit and some don't know when to leave. But believe when I retire, I'm hit my connect with some skis. I did shit, soul shit, y'all niggas wouldn't believe. Looking out the jet window on a trip to Belize. I got G's from the G's, like look at them G's. I got a bitch that bust a brick while she putting in weave. No bare necessities, we got no building we need. Losing money by the minute, rats eating the weed. From point A to point B, niggas getting that cheese. I'm getting paid while I'm clocking some Z's, nigga.
18.